Greetings, Assalamu alaikum, Abari Ghani, welcome, whatever your greeting of peace, welcome to the Talk Black Radio Show. We're here again on Amiga FM 104.1 and blessed to have you along. My name's Justin Muhammad, I'm going to be your host for today. As ever, I'm here with the Talk Black Pack, Brother David Muhammad and Brother Trevor Muhammad. On the other side, how you guys doing?
We're good.
Very well,
good.
very well. Alright, and I'm blessed to have two big guests today, like big guests. You're going to know in the next 2 hours how big my guests are. But I'm blessed to have two big guests today. I have Sister Kay Johnston, who you may not know, but she is one of our heaviest teachers, one of our heaviest educators, and she's doing so much just to push forward with the aspirations of our young people. And this is someone who's gone to bat against the government, against the media, and won. So we're going to be hearing all about Kay Johnston. She's one of my heroes. You know, you may not know the story, but you're going to know the story today. We're going to give her a chance, really, just to explain how heavy it is when you go up against the powers that be for the benefit of our children. And my other guest, good old friend of mine, he's a businessman extraordinaire, but he's actually taken his business acumen, and now he's moving into the whole taking that organisational skill and prowess, and he's turning it on the community to help us in many different ways to push forward. So, welcome Dino Kai.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, come a little bit closer to the mic, you're a bit quiet there. Dean, so, thanks for coming. I want you to tell us, because Dean has something called the Solution Room, so I'm going to start with you. If you can just help me a little bit, and just so we set the base for today.
Yes,
just
sir.
let the listeners know something about the Solution Room.
So, the Solution Room is a think tank, and my thinking behind it was just to apply business strategics to black people, because we're so emotive, and because we get all of our information late, we're reactionary. And when you're reactionary, you can't set any kind of foundation for yourself because you're reliant upon what somebody else does. But all of the esoteric knowledge is out there now. There are no secrets. So we need to live by the laws of the 1%. So the 10% of us who are the talented 10% of us, I decided that it was my mission to pull us out of isolation and culminate the skills and the intellectual capital of the proficient professionals in education, the justice system, in media, going across the board in 9 different areas, so that we could culminate those skills with genuinely black-led organisations to create institutions for us in the UK. Because what we have is exceptional individuals, we hear the voices, but unfortunately, through disparity and being displaced, we all work in isolation. And you can be as amazing as you like working in isolation, but you can't really make headway. So I made a decision that the whole point of setting up a think tank was to set up the institutions that we need in education, being number one, an exclusively African Caribbean educational curriculum that merges emotional literacy, financial literacy, rites of passage with the traditional education.
Let me hold you right there.
Yes, sir.
We're going to deal with this in depth as we go on. So let me hold you right there. And I know, Kay, that's something that's kind of close to your heart, because we were talking about it in the lift on the way up. And Kay, if you can just go through, because Kay, you've had a school, you applied for a free school and had certain issues that took place there. And I just wanted, if you can, just some of your background in terms of, just so as we have this discussion, I want people to know who we're actually having this discussion with. So, okay, if you can just explain some of what happened with you with the free school education or free school application in 2010, what led to you starting the Diamond Excellence Academy, and just some of those basics, and we'll do the nitty-gritty bits we'll do after, but just lay out those things that you've done that put you in the position you're in today.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kay Johnston. I've been in education in the UK for the last 39 years. Around 2006, I realized I was an assistant head teacher at a school in Croydon, and I realized that we were failing the boys year after year. The curriculum was all wrong, and they were voting with their feet. And when I was put in charge of attendance and behavior, I felt that I needed to do something about it. And talking to those boys and their parents, I said, okay, why aren't you coming to school? and it was the school's rubbish, etc. He said, okay, well, if you had to redesign the curriculum, what would make school attractive to you? And it was from listening to those boys and their parents that I began making notes. I spent to the head and I said, listen, we need a more hands-on curriculum in a boys' school. It is what we have here is not going to, it's just not suitable. Anyway, nothing was done. I put a team together. We did a presentation to the Croydon Council. They were quite interested if it was on to be a private school. But at that stage, that was not an option. I wrote to the then Education Secretary, that was Lord Andrew Adonis, who gave me the full how to set up an independent school, but I didn't have the capital at the time and it was put on hold. When the coalition came into government in 2010, I decided to put in for a free school. It sounded like a wonderful idea. I had meetings with the local authority. I took in the first application in September 2010. And then as we continued recruiting, I sent in one in December, just before the application was closed, to the DFE and said, can you discard the one in September in favor of this one? In February 2011, I received an email from the DFE saying that we hadn't engaged with local businesses, so they rejected the application. However, the how to apply guide, they gave no reference to liaising with local businesses, but I put that down to experience, and we went again in 2011. Later in 2011, I received another email saying that they had rejected it because they weren't sure that we targeted children of relevant ages. I offered to take into the DFE the applications that the parents had made to prove that we had. At that stage, we were oversubscribed in the primary because we were doing an all-through. We had 75% of our intake for the secondary 1 year ahead, but they weren't interested in seeing the actual evidence. At that point, Cambridge University got in touch, and they, because they'd been following the story through the Independent, and they wanted to become involved in the school because the admissions tutor who wants to be a governor at my school said that he wanted to change the demographics of Cambridge, where 90% of Oxbridge came from privately educated, and that needed to change. So they offered to come down on Saturday mornings and teach the children themselves from the year 7 to start gearing them up for the top universities and to gear their mindsets. So that if you have a child who's interested in engineering, we'll come down on Saturdays and teach maths for engineering, etc. And we put in the application again. And in 2012, I was told that then I put in a very comprehensive mentoring program, and we went to put in a support package from nursery to industry, which would see each child straight into their first job. I was told by the DFE that it was far too ambitious for children from disadvantaged backgrounds. I asked for a face-to-face meeting with a panel. We met with a panel of 5 in my team.
I just need to hold you there because that takes a minute to just. I want that to settle for a second.
Just resonate on that.
Because when you're saying it, it's. We've been told we put together something. It's not that it's wrong. It's not that it's not good for us. It's just too ambitious. Now, how can you have something that's too ambitious? But hold on, who's it too ambitious for? Human beings? No. Just people from your background.
Absolutely.
All right. So now this is where we are, and that didn't actually deter you because I'm gonna try. Because even from that, and I know you went through a lot because when we first met, this other thing was old. This other thing hadn't happened yet. It was all about you versus Michael Gove. That's what I remember. That even popped up in the newspapers. Was you versus Michael Gove because you wanted the free school and they kept knocking that back. But then after that, because we had a conversation and we worked on some projects, and we talked about having our own Ministry of Education. And you went off and you thought, you know what, I'm doing it for myself. Okay. And after, because I went to visit the school and Kay's got space and it's all great, loads of people are going, we actually had to close our school for a period, and at that point we sent our children to Kay's school. Okay. A little while later, as I was going about my daily business, something turns up in the Evening Standard, which funnily enough, Kay was telling Kay about it because she knows, obviously, but she'd never read the article, and the article's laughable just for itself. Yeah. But it actually goes under the title "Teacher Banned After Hitting Special Needs Child Over the Head," and it has a very nice picture of you, Kay.
No, thank you.
A very nice picture of Kay as they've done it. But what it was is this did not take place.
Their propaganda
until she had applied for a free school. They tried to stop you with the free school. Then you continued to do your own school, and after doing your own school, now they come back with something else.
Character assassination.
And the thing was, I at the point when that happened, because I think you did call me pretty soon after that took place, and I know Kay. So I've read that and I've just dismissed that like, oh, I know this game. But there was other people phoning me and they was like, did you see that thing with the lady who was hitting the children? Isn't it
national
terrible?
Propaganda.
Because it's national. They were reading it on their way to work. And it's like, it's terrible what these black teachers are doing.
Character assassination.
But I'm like, no, I actually know this person. This ain't how it went. But it went so far. And the bit that I really liked, and if you want to read just how crazy this article is, type Kay's name in, Kay Johnston in the Evening Standard. But this stuff, and I'm not gonna go too far. I don't want to give too much credence to it, but I just want to show you some of the madness that's in this article. And if you hadn't read it, I'm not going to make you go through the whole thing after you've done so well not reading it. But it says Kay was barred indefinitely from teaching after also, remember, the first thing hasn't been proven. But they say after also, so they're adding something to it, also allowing a teaching assistant to humiliate the child who had complex learning difficulties. It says Scotland Yard officers investigated. Hold on. Investigated a separate incident. Okay, so what the hell's that?
So then there's no credence.
I just need to add Scotland Yard. So if you don't really understand context, you've missed it.
You aligned the two.
Okay, cool. Then there was a bit, and this is where I got to. It said, Johnston, who tried to gag the press. Imagine them charging us with trying to gag the press. The Evening Standard. What did you do? Did you call her?
I had no conversation with nobody. Nobody called me.
In the paper?
Nobody. That's the interesting thing. Not a single newspaper contacted me to hear anything. I was actually sweeping up with the end of my school in the afternoon, and a friend said, I've just seen you in the Evening Standard. And I said, doing what? And she started typing little bits. I said, okay, leave it. And my daughter looked at it and she started crying. So what is it all about? I was the last person to know. And I realized straight away that this was a smear campaign because I refused to hand over my education plan to an academy chain who quoted me on my private email. That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They didn't want. They wanted me to sign over that my education plan became their intellectual property in 10 months. When I refused, and he said, we have our own principals to run your school. And I said, Bill, with all due respect, I intend to run my school myself.
Fantastic.
And he said, well, what do you want to do that for? Well, we'll pitch you an interview with our experienced principals and see how you get on. Now, I've been putting my school together since 2007, and I didn't see why I should be competing with strangers who've not been on my journey for my own school.
Your own school, based on your intellectual capital.
Yeah. So I refused to sign it, and they were a bit cross. I then received a call from a college in North London, which will be nameless, obviously, from a member of the senior leadership team, said that they had been told that I had devised a plan for motivating boys and wanted to discuss it with me. They have problems motivating boys and thought that within the college they'd like to open an alternative provision for boys. So, they wanted to come down, so I invited them down.
Sorry. Okay, just one second. I'm going to hold you again.
Yeah.
Remember now, when they're talking about alternative provisions that they supply, do you know how much money is in alternative units?
That sounds like licensing to me.
So when we come and we set something up, now you mustn't have it, but give us your thing, because we can charge, and Trevor, you might want to correct me if I'm wrong, but normally it's something like £5,000 to £6,000 for an ordinary child. But if you can get one with,
a statement,
all of a sudden the numbers kind of jump up to 8s and 9s per child. So there's good money in this.
Real money.
And a lot of time when they have it, they use these the plans, like the one they would have liked to get from our system, which, by the way, you still have. It still belongs to us in the community, so right on with that. Once they have these plans, they use the plans to say, this is what we'll do, and then they put them in a holding pen.
Absolutely.
Because most of I've had to visit some of these crews, and when you go there, this isn't...
There's no learning going on.
There's no learning going on. This is not the great...
Very well funded.
Right, but this is not the great rehabilitation centre
holding tanks
that you imagine. All right, well, like I told you we had two big guests, so we're going to get into this some more, and we're going to actually discuss some of the underlying issues with the thing, because at the end of the day, whether we are all either teachers or committed community workers there with loads of experience and years, let's chop it up, let's get into it, and we'll have a conversation.
Absolutely.